Who's scribing here? So we'll call this meeting to order. City School Committee. Roll call, please.
Who calls the roll?
Pedro. You want me to call?
Pedro, would you do the honors?
I'm not like,
Councilmember Scott Donahue.
Here.
School Board Member Melody Dice.
here.
School Board Member Jack Asher called or emailed me that she would not be here. Councilmember Ruth Atkins.
Yep.
Councilmember Nora Davis.
Here.
Councilmember Diane Martinez also emailed me that she would be out today. School Board Member John Alpert also emailed that he would be out today.
Holiday.
School Board Member Joy Kent, I believe is out on maternity leave.
Maternity leave. Really?
School Board Member Don Merriam.
Yes.
School Board Member Kristen Patz. Yeah. And student members Fabiola Perez Rojas and Maria Cuevas. Oh, is it? Oh.
All right. So do we have a quorum in order to approve the minutes since we have 2 board members only? That I don't recall.
Well, we can do all the
Just everything else.
Let's do all the information items.
Sounds great. So, well, how about we jump to item 4, or excuse me, let's go to item 2, public comment. If there's any members of the public that wish to address this committee on items not on the agenda this evening, this is your opportunity to do so. All right, seeing none, how about we go to item 4, staff committee member comments.
I have a couple of comments, announcements. I just wanted to talk about some upcoming events here in the city of Emeryville. We have fall movies in the parks at Doyle Hollis Park. They will be on closer. Okay. On September 11th, September 18th, and September 25th. Those are all Friday nights. Activities start at 7 p.m. Movies to start around 8 o'clock when it's dark enough to show on the screen. We also have Parking Day, which is held annually on the 3rd Friday in September, Friday, September 18th. So hopefully there'll be some areas throughout Emeryville that you will see some parking spaces used up, and some people will put out some AstroTurf and have some activities there for the community to do out there. Coastal Cleanup is scheduled for Saturday, September 19th from 9 to 12 noon. And then we also have Harvest in the Park scheduled for Saturday, October 31st from 12 to 3 at Doyle Hollis Park. So come out and enjoy activities for the community and the kids. And then we'll have our holiday tree lighting scheduled for Friday, December 4th, 2015 at City Hall from 5:30 to 7:30. Those are a few events that will be coming up here for the next couple months in the city of Emeryville.
Sounds great. Are there any other staff or committee member comments?
I have a question. This may be answered by the ECCL update, but my question is, are the students going to have chairs to sit in? Will we get some information on that tonight?
Did you say chairs? Chairs. Is that what I didn't hear?
Exactly. Information was disseminated to the people in the city that there was not money to pay for chairs and desks for the children to sit in. What's the real story here?
We can, if we can, we can wait during Mr. Baker's presentation, and if you don't mind, we can talk about it then.
I would want it to be.
Yeah, does that sound good?
I just don't want it to be overlooked. I've had a number of calls about this.
Okay.
Anything else? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to no action items. Great. Information item, ECCL update. Mr. Baker.
I see Juliet. You're not doing Wellness Center first?
It's not here.
It's not on my agenda.
Oh, that's on. It's not on. Oh, it's on the agenda I printed.
That's more agendas up here.
I must have gotten an older one. Okay, sorry.
I Maybe we can add it into the
Sure enough.
CL update. We have a few minutes to. Sorry, yes, start off.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Good evening. It's a pleasure to present the update for ECCL. They've had quite a bit of work take place since last presented to this group. Just to, again, some orientation, I'll talk a lot about buildings A, B, C, D, and E. A is the community building at the corner of 53rd and San Pablo. B is the administration building along San Pablo. D is the high school at 47th and San Pablo. C is the big building in the center of the site, the K through 8 school. And then E is the existing gym and pool being renovated. So construction update, lots of work going on. As if those of you who've driven past the site will probably have seen, I hope, quite a bit of activity.
Absolutely.
The gym building E, all the wall framing is complete inside that, and I'll show some photographs of all this work. The gym roof sheathing replacement is nearing completion, and I'll talk a little bit about why we've had to do that. The high school mechanical, electrical, plumbing rough-in, that's all the electrical conduit, ductwork, and plumbing in the walls is complete. The high school interior frame is all complete. All the walls are framed. If you walk it through the high school, you can see all the rooms now. The exterior wall is nearing completion. The exterior wall frame is nearing completion. The community building, the building at the corner of 53rd, the framing is complete. You can see the plywood going up. You can kind of see what that building looks like now. The mechanical, electrical, plumbing, the MEP rough-in, again, that's the interior ductwork, electrical, plumbing is in progress in building A. The building B, which is a steel, mostly wood, but some steel frame building, that steel is complete, and now the wood frame is in progress, so you're going to start seeing that building framing underway. And the big news this week is the steel erection at building C, the K through 8 school, has started and will move quite quickly. So that's exciting. There'll be a lot of exciting and quick changes you're going to see over the next over the month of September. And also, as most of you know, the swimming school scope was approved last week by the board, specifically to accommodate the future bike path as given direction by council a few weeks ago. So that was a big milestone as well. I always want to give an update on every construction project has its unforeseen conditions and challenges. I think, as I reported most of you, we had some lead paint at the gym steel framing. That is complete. The gym roof sheathing replacement is in progress, and what happened there is when we pulled the roof up, we found that about half of the plywood sheathing that goes under the roofing was rotted, needed to be replaced, and even more surprising, when we pulled it up, we found that the structural framing below that was not built as originally designed, and instead of 2x lumber, it was plywood, which is not the best, most effective structural system. And so we've had to put down a whole, redo most of the roofing for the entire gym, and also put some strapping, some structural strapping across it. And that it has had a schedule impact. But where that work is almost done, and so we kind of know what we're going to know very soon what that schedule impact is for the gym. Our multi-agency coordination, all of our permitting is now complete. All of our coordination with the cities of Emeryville and Oakland is complete, other than closeout. The one piece left is when we do the traffic circle on 53rd, we'll need to go to Oakland to get a permit for that. PG&E, all the electrical is in place. One of the rare projects which PG&E is not a schedule issue, but our transformers in place and up and running, so that's good. Our friends at East Bay Mud have been quite a bit of a challenge to deal with. As most of you know, in February we found an abandoned 24-inch water line right along the sidewalk, right along San Pablo. It took us a couple weeks to figure out whose pipe it was. East Bay Mud about a month to confirm that it had been abandoned in the 1960s. The big problem was getting in their queue. We had to cut through the pipe in 3 places to connect our utilities to the street. And the biggest challenge is when you put sanitary sewer lines in, you always start from the street and go uphill, so you get the slope right. So all the utilities are in that courtyard of the community commons, and so we've had to work around that. We built all the buildings first rather than the utilities, and we're putting the utilities in between the buildings. The trickiest thing is that the only access has been between the high school and Building C, which has, as most of you know, a structure with a canopy and a deck and the elevator and stairs. We've not been able to start construction on that. However, the good news is we had to get in the queue with East Bay Mud. On August 17th, they came out, tested the pipe, and cut the lines, and now all those utility connections are complete. It was a big deal. We enlisted the efforts of the former city manager, Sabrina Landreth, to do her best at East Bay Mud. We were not able to expedite that at all. But the good news is it's behind us. It's been the single biggest issue on the project, and it is now behind us. And so now we're going to have much more certainty about schedule and things of that nature. The other one that we're impacted on is the Division of State Architect had a number of changes to the Building C steel. It took us a few weeks to sort those out. As a consequence, we were pulled out of the queue with the steel fabricator. That steel was supposed to start erection June 15th. We thought it would be about a 2-month impact. It ended up being a 6-week impact. Now that steel is underway. Also, we poured some slab work early to mitigate that. So I think we're almost through mitigating that issue, but we still need to work with Turner Construction to work on that. But we know our level of certainty is much greater now than it was about a month ago, which is good news. So here's our friend from East Bay Mud tapping. That you can see the line. That's the 24-inch pipe that's going perpendicular on the screen. He's doing the tapping. They then put a camera in there to see if there was anything in there. There was not. So we're able to then cut the pipe in 3 locations so we can do our connections. This is the roof sheathing. This shows the lighter colored plywood is the new plywood, so it shows where we've had to replace. So about a half, actually, of the plywood is needed to be replaced. And those silver straps you see, those are sheet metal structural straps to strap the whole thing together. This work is almost complete, and then we can get the roof on. And once we get the roof on, we can start putting sheetrock up inside the wall. So all the wall framing is complete, but because although if we get any kind of rain, you have to have the roof in place before you can sheetrock, because the sheetrock water will cause sheetrock to have mold, mildew, and some bad things. And so we've had to wait until that roof is done, but that will be done shortly. Here's more framing. This is in the fitness room behind the stage, so you can see all those walls are ready for sheetrock, and then we can also put the ceiling in, which follows the sheetrock. Right now, we're using the gym as the staging area for all of our door frames. There are over 200 door frames on the project, and those are actually metal door frames. It's kind of hard to tell what they look like, but they're all laying flat, and now all of our door frames are sitting in the gym, since we're making use of that space on site. And as they go in place, they're going in place right now in the high school, and then we'll follow as things move on. One thing we've done is along 53rd, all the site work at the field and along 53rd were intended to be done next spring. When we put the construction fence up and took those parking spaces away, we've gotten to know the neighbors across the street very well, and they weren't very happy about their parking being taken away. In addition, it just makes there less parking in the neighborhood where we have subcontractors. So we actually resequenced this work, and we're going to put this curb and gutter in this month. It will be done probably in about 2 weeks, and we can pull the fence line back and give that parking back to the community. And actually, you can see the little curve there. That's where the turnaround is going to be once we get that work done. But I think the neighbors will be much happier when they get that whole line of parking back. This is Building A, the community building. We're just about, it's all framed. We're going to be done with the sheathing, the plywood sheathing, fairly soon. The next thing you'll see going in place is waterproofing, building paper, flashing, and then windows. And again, once that takes place and once the building is roofed, we can go ahead and work on the inside. This is the large community room. You can see, again, that framing is done, and you can see the ductwork up in the ceiling. And to the left there is the large window. There's a very large window which faces onto 53rd. So if you walk in that space, you can kind of get a sense of what that space feels like now. This is the two-story lobby of Building B, which is the admin building. In fact, the entry is, you can kind of see the entry kind of portal right there to the right. To the left is the activity room. The wood frame is starting, and this building has some steel and some wood. The wood frame is now starting. It's going to move from this end to the other end of the building. The big news this week again was steel. So there's our crane that'll be out there probably for the next 2 or 3 weeks, starting to erect the steel. So those what you see, those columns, those are 3-story tall columns because it's a 3-story building. So that's, in fact, this work you see here was done in 1 day. And so they'll work on this. We were going to be done with this work, the steel framing, by the end of this month. So then you'll be able to really see how that largest building in the project fits in the site. And there's some more picture of the folks of the workers erecting the steel. And then the high school, which is of course furthest, not as far along as the gym, but the furthest along of the new buildings, you can start to see what the building looks like now. The exterior framing, except along just the edge to the right, is all complete. That yellow board is sheathing, and that goes up before the waterproofing and stucco goes in place. What we're going to see very quickly here is we're going to see waterproofing flashing around the windows, then the windows will go in, and then the stucco finish follows that. So you can actually kind of see where the windows are now and see what the building, starting to see what the building's going to look like. That's an up close. You'll see there's scaffolding and netting all along the corner. That's so that the workers are protected as they put that board up, and that scaffolding will stay up for quite a while actually. Inside, now that we have the exterior walls closed in, you can start seeing the rooms. This is in one of the labs. You'll see that horizontal area, that's where the edge of a lab bench, and you can see, if you look carefully, there's plumbing for the sinks. This is one of the lab sinks on the second floor lab classrooms. This is also the second floor, one of the classrooms. You can see our ductwork is now in with the registers up there and awaiting completion of the roof, and then we can go ahead and start putting drywall up. And the roofing is going to take place also in September, so this building will start being what we call dried in pretty quickly, and once that roof is up, they can start doing the interior sheetrock. All of our electrical, plumbing, and mechanical is in. These are the main electrical switchgear that are in their room. And if you drive along 47th, you can see near Building E, you can see the transformer, the PG transformer that's already in place. We had a nice event last week. Dr. Rubio had the annual orientation for new teachers. We cleared out a space in the art room. There's a kind of a double classroom that we had about 65 people on site. It was a great opportunity for teachers and staff to see the school. We had a lot linger afterwards to ask questions and also ask if they could bring classes over. And as I'll talk about later, we're encouraging everyone to request tours, and we'll give tours so that people can kind of see the project and see the project progress. Some additional things, our low voltage systems have been confirmed, security, data telecom, and audiovisual. That process is complete to make sure we have the current technology. Furniture selection, the gym and pool procurement is in progress. That will be delivered in about 6 weeks. We're finalizing our piggyback contract scope of work, which is the majority of the furniture with that one vendor who has those contracts, and also finalizing the list of independent vendor items. So I know that there was a desire to talk about furniture, but we're moving full steam ahead with the furniture planning, and our first procurement, which is the smallest, the gym pool, has been made. So right now we don't have budget issues with that, but as we go forward, obviously the city and the district will need to discuss that item. Actually, I've got the titles of these wrong. That was supposed to be FF&E. This is additional information. One thing I want to report on is the community benefits agreement. A key part of the community engagement process is local participation in the construction of the project. As most of you who were involved in the design of the project, there was a lot of workshops and community engagement with the community. This phase of the work, we're trying to engage local businesses and local residents and students in the construction progress. So every quarter, Turner issues a report, an interim progress report, and we finished the second quarter, and we got that report a couple weeks ago. Just want to give some highlights on it. In terms of local business utilization, there's two categories. There's what's called the local impact area, and that is Emeryville, West Berkeley, and the bordering areas of Oakland, kind of north and west Oakland. In those areas, 19% of our subcontractors are located in those areas. So sort of like very local businesses. There's also what's called the Green Corridor, which is an area stretching from Richmond to Hayward in the East Bay, and 40% of our subcontractors are in that area. So 59% of our subcontractors on the job are local businesses in the local area. Similar to local hire, workforce development, we have 4 full-time workers from the immediate local area. This is Emeryville, West Berkeley, and North and West Oakland. That's out of about 50, so about 10% of our current construction labor are local residents. In terms of local apprentice and pre-apprenticeships, Turner has conducted meetings about every quarter with the Cypress Mandela Center. They had one in January and one in April, and they're having another one this month. To date, one Cypress Mandela graduate is working on the project. And they'll continue as we move forward with the project. The number of laborers are going to increase significantly as those interior trades come on board. So there's going to be more opportunity to employ people from that community organization. In addition, Turner is working with Charles Patterson of Emory High School to discuss outreach efforts and encouraging students to gain interest in construction careers. And there's a plan that's going to be in place the fall semester with students, so that students interested in the construction trades can work with Mr. Patterson and Turner and gain information in those fields. In terms of youth engagement, Turner's required to sponsor 3 interns on the project. One of those interns worked on the project last summer. Turner's currently working again with Mr. Patterson to identify 2 11th graders for the coming school year to work at break or work part-time on the project. And so that outreach effort is taking place right now, and to identify 2 students to work over the final year of the project. And then finally, the Learning Lab. There's a Learning Lab that is set up in the Turner trailer. So if students or residents want to kind of learn about construction careers, we can schedule an appointment with Turner to do that, and they can have one of their people walk through that presentation. A couple other additional items. One of the things we want to discuss this week is potential use of the former cafe space in the library, which is kind of a side room now in the library, by the Emeryville Historical Society. And we can just have a discussion about that. I know that Cindy Montero had said that group is expressing interest. Another thing is that we have an event coming up that I'd like to talk to the group about, which is what's called a topping out. Topping out is when the last piece of steel goes in place. And at the end of this month, we'll have the last piece of steel go in place at the 3rd floor of the K-8 school. And for those of you who may not know, there's a tradition in construction of when you put that last piece in place, of all the partners and participants of the project will sign a beam, sign their signature, and then a crane puts it up and they put it in place, and it's in the building for as long as the building stands with everyone's name on it. Turner's planning an appreciation event for their subcontractors with a barbecue lunch, and we would like to also invite the city and the district to participate in that event. We don't know the exact date yet, but it'll be around the end of the month, maybe the last week of September or first week in October. As it gets nearer, I'll work with the city and the district to see if we can plan exactly when that is, and have our stakeholders participate in that event. It's a lot of fun, actually. And then finally, site visits. We are encouraging as many people as possible to visit the site. The best time of day to do that is about 3:30 after the crews knock off, but it's still light outside. We've done a couple tours with Pedro's folks and with the city manager, and also with some teachers from the school. We'd like to do more of those, and if you just want to go ahead and let me know if you're interested in doing that, just a few days in advance, and then we'll go ahead and schedule that. We have plenty of hard hats and vests out there, and we'll kind of tell you about what the rules are and all that. But it's a good time of day. It's light outside. You can kind of see the progress. But we really like to encourage people to come by and pay us a visit. And that is it for this week, or this meeting.
I have some questions.
Okay, Nora.
The most important question is, when is this going to be open? Are we going to be able to hit the target of January 1st?
So now that the East Bay Mud has done their work, we're doing a schedule analysis to understand what the high school opening date is. The high school, if you see there, is complete. The key thing is building the elevator and stair work. And so we're doing, our scheduler and Turner scheduler are doing a schedule analysis this week to see what the impacts of that will be.
So it's hard to be certain. The building will be done. The tricky part is getting the elevator done, because that's the route in that all the trucks have to come into the site to continue to do the utilities work for the rest of the site. So we're having a little bit of trouble in the timeline. So you'll recall that we would like to get the high school kids in by January. The rest of the project isn't scheduled until finish until June, I believe.
Yeah, till June. Right.
So, you know, if we have to have the high school kids wait a few more months, we will. But, you know, obviously, Mr. Baker and the team are trying to do everything to figure out the timing on this elevator.
And you have an agreement with Oakland that you can continue at Santa Fe in those months?
We don't have that in writing. We are already in conversation with them, and they're actually going to be visiting the site. They're coming out to visit the site. So,
Okay.
so yeah.
The other question I have, you know, there's been a lot of talk and some long-range forecasts that this will be a very heavy El Nino winter starting in October. And my question is how much of your outside exterior framing will be in place so you can continue to work in the interiors? Is it the 100% of the project, or what percentage?
It's an excellent question, and the good news is there's 3 buildings that will be what we call dried in by really the end of October.
And they are?
Building E, the gym, which again is renovation. There's not much exterior work there really. Building D, the high school, and Building A, the community building. Those buildings all have their roofs on and their exterior sheathing and waterproofing in place. And the interior work in those 3 buildings can continue. The 2 that will not be in that state are the admin building, which is Building B. But with that project, however, that does not have a critical path schedule. Right now, that's going to finish, I think, in April or May. So if that gets delayed, the city just wouldn't be moving in until next summer. So there would be not really any impact on moving in that building. The one that we're concerned about in terms of weather is Building C, the K-8 school. I mean, right now, again, we've had the steel impact. We're going to try and bring that back. So we might, right now it's finishing in June. But if we have, you know, 2 months of rainy weather, you can see what that does to that building. Also, the key work, which is the work to frame that building and close it in, right now is taking place during the winter. So we're going to be just very careful about that. The good thing is that we're not doing site work. We won't be doing site work anymore. And site work is what gets most impacted, especially a rainy year, because it might rain for a day, but you might have a couple inches of rain. You've got to wait 2, 3, 4 days for it to dry out. All we're going to be impacted on the buildings is they can't work in the rain. If the next day the rain stops, they go back to work. So that helps. If we were doing site work like the work we did last year in an El Nino year, it would be significant delays. So every rainy day, we won't be able to work on the high school, but you know, we're working with Turner to identify areas where we can comply with the city ordinance and do non-noisy work on Saturdays to catch up. And so we think that there's some opportunity there, but again, we have to kind of see what Mother Nature gives us. But it's something we're very aware of.
That may be a big factor this year. So I'm glad to hear that you have made plans how to work around that if it occurs.
Yeah.
Because once you get mold in those buildings,
Right.
we got,
Yes.
especially, you know, we're dealing with a student population.
Right. Yeah.
It's a very critical
Yes.
area.
But, you know, the key thing is that you have to have the buildings, what's called dried in, so before you do sheetrock, because that's where you get the issues you speak of. So 3 of the 5 buildings will be beyond that stage, so that's good. So they can just kind of proceed with their interior work. Building B depends on what happens, but again, that's not a critical path. The critical path runs through completion of the K-8 school, so we'll just need to watch it very closely.
It is, to be honest, a little difficult without being able to do more on Saturdays. I think I know that it was controversial when it came up, 6 months ago, but I will tell
Right in the middle of a residential area.
I know, I'm just.
Hardworking people.
Oh, yeah.
Need their weekend.
No, I understand. I just want to be honest about, the situation. It makes the timeline a little bit tighter and more difficult. So if the rain happens, it's going to be.
And as I've noted before, the only work they're thinking of doing Saturdays is non-noisy work, is like, it would be, sheetrock, carpet, flooring, painting. Interior work. And so we are, now that we're getting towards those trades, we're starting to look at doing some of that work. And Carrie Talbot, who's our construction, our on-site construction manager, has gotten to know a lot of the neighbors and understands their concerns, and so we're going to work with them to just make sure that there's plenty of notice and that we're doing just only interior trades that don't create any noise outside the buildings.
Thank you.
Ruth?
So did I hear you say correctly? Did I hear you say correctly, 10% is local hire?
About 10% of the current work, we usually have about 40 or 50 people a day out there. And so 4 of those live in the local area zip codes, which is Emeryville, the 3 adjacent Berkeley zip codes, and the 3 adjacent Oakland zip codes.
Okay. And just today, I was lurking on the Emery Bay Village email distribution list, and apparently there's people who are very troubled by the fact that there's construction noise before 8 a.m., and they've had innumerable interactions with people on site, and this one resident is asking her neighbors whether or not they live along the fence to weigh in and express concern there. So apparently this has been going on for some time, and there's been repeated issues around starting it.
The neighbor in question, I believe, is Susan Strasburger. Yeah, so we've gotten to know Ms. Strasburger quite well. In fact, we just had an email exchange today. She's been actually good because she watches out for, we watch out for it too, but it's helpful to have a neighbor in that complex who is keeping an eye on things. But again, noisy work can't start until 8 o'clock. And we've told Turner repeatedly, the definition of noisy work is a little bit tricky. What is noisy work? But Carrie Talbot talks to her, meets with her once a week, is in communication, making sure that, and also more importantly, making sure that Turner does not, none of the subcontractors start work that creates any noise until 8 o'clock. So we're aware of that issue. We're working with her closely and keeping Turner to follow the rules that is in their contract.
So apparently she's not satisfied because she's asking for neighbor support there.
Well,
So
we were aware of the issue. We're working every day to make sure that it doesn't happen, and we will step up our efforts.
Thank you.
And we had a discussion with her just today.
Okay, thank you.
I have a few questions. I know this is a fixed price contract. Isn't that true, where they?
It's what this is the lease fee spec agreement. It's a guaranteed maximum price for what was bid last year. So if we make changes to that scope, there are added costs. If there are unforeseen conditions like the roof sheathing, there are added costs. So it's a fixed price. It's a guaranteed maximum price for the work which they bid. So that's important. It's an important concept because it doesn't mean you don't have cost changes. If you have something that was not known, if you have a permitting agency make a change, if you have unforeseen conditions like our East Bay mud pipe, there are costs for that, and we have contingency for that.
And were the costs spec'd out beforehand for change orders?
Yes, we have a contingency, and I think we're doing quite well against our contingency right now, kind of as expected.
And so I take it Swinnerton monitors the hours of work that are for the change orders?
Yeah, there's also, Turner has a contingency in their contract also. No expenditure against that, nor any change order can be approved until we look at it. The process is we get pricing or costs from Turner. We have our independent estimators, excuse me, look at that, and then we negotiate those costs. And so the process has gone quite well. We've gotten good backup from them. We've rejected a few things. We're probably, of the costs that they submit, we're ending up at about maybe approving maybe 90% of those costs. So there are some things that we're negotiating down. But we look very carefully at everything that they give us. In addition, one thing they've done is they've actually, we have this discussion, everything that we know about, let's try and project what that might cost. And so we have, we've projected estimates of what we think those things are, so we can plan for them as we go through them. And also their costs of those things have been coming in less than we're projecting, so we're being conservative in our forecast. But I can assure you that we are looking at each and every dollar that they put forth First of all, if it's legitimate per the contract, and everything we've seen so far that we've approved is, and again, it's things like the East Bay mud pipe, the roof sheathing in Building E. We haven't had any weather days, but that would be something. And he also
the change
changed.
orders, the cost of the change orders, you go into a standard Bay Area Blue Book kind of analysis or whatever you would
It's-
call it for
Yes,
that
it's
quantity of
it's
work.
more than that also. We actually check current bidding that we do as on our side as a construction, a large contractor. So we check the sort of, there are, there's data for those costs, but even more so, we look at what currently is being bid and what's currently
Okay,
bid.
and all of those records, of course, are open to the city of Emeryville to inspect.
Absolutely. And also, we don't approve anything unless it has adequate backup. We're very sensitive to the risk of audit and making sure that all that documentation is appropriate and complete. I will say this of the many contractors that I've worked with, that the Turner's documentation is actually very good, which does a couple things. It makes it easier for us to now analyze things, and also makes sure that we have the correct documentation in case of audit. So we've got probably, Kerry Talbot I mentioned earlier, probably about a third of his time is spent looking at those costs. We have also one of our senior estimators who reviews everyone, we do our own independent estimate of that, looking at the change, and then we use that with which to compare and negotiate a final appropriate cost.
And I take it the changes are agreed upon by, the building inspector, looks like the building inspector, I assume, looked at the old roof on the gym and said, no, this is not correct, so that the changes are being initiated by code or some
Yeah,
other
exactly.
objective measurement.
Correct. So we have 2 full-time inspectors of record. Again, the permitting agency on this project is DSA, the Division of State Architect, is the state, as are all schools. We have 2 full-time inspectors of record. In addition, we have a special testing and inspection lab, construction testing services, who they're on the site full-time, and they inspect every piece of work that goes in place. And also, when there's a solution, for example, the roof season is a good example, the structural engineer puts forth a solution, that can't go in place until those inspectors approve it, and then that work can go in place. And also, they also review every change order. They review as well for appropriateness against the permanent set of drawings, and also against the contract scope of work.
And may I just add something maybe for some clarity for everybody. The council and city and the school board members may recall that I know that there are a lot of conversations over the years about the GMP and making sure we had a solid figure. The dilemma, I think, since the beginning of the project, since last August when we signed the papers, is that while we were, and why everybody was pretty focused on this solid static amount, and I suspect it was for at least a year or longer, the economy rebounded, right, a year and a half before we signed on the dotted line. So we started when we started the project,
Yes,
and
right.
Turner got all the bids in, we were $4 to $5 million above that GMP. So we had a problem from the beginning, and so what we did was, Mr. Baker played a very good job, a hardball with Turner, and got them to negotiate money down. We said, okay, $2.5 million, we're going to value engineer. Somehow we're going to pick things that aren't as expensive, and we're going to bring them down. So you probably recall staff sharing with you over the time that we were value engineering. And what we did was, which was a change to the scope of the FF&E, we changed that from a $2.5 million budget to $846,000. All of those things to get into the GMP that we were kind of stuck on that amount for a long time. So by doing that, and we were thinking that over time maybe we can do some more, we can find some more money. We brought up the idea of new market tax credits last fall, but that kind of got a very cold reception by individuals informally. We looked for outside money. We tried all kinds of things. I think, in fact, city staff and the school district, we went through the whole furniture list again. And we tried to find things that we could cut out. And what we found were there were still some things missing. so the issues that we're having, and I think you, Councilmember Davis, had asked me in February here at one of these meetings, what's our shortfall? And I think I had said it then. Our dilemma, which has been an ongoing challenge, it's not a new problem for us. It got a little harder with the pool recently. But our dilemma since the beginning of the project is that we changed that FF&E amount mathematically, and then the need hasn't changed to furnish the entire facility. So the classrooms, the city offices, everything, the pool furniture, all that stuff has to be furnished. And so that's our dilemma. I just want to add some clarity. I hope that helps. So we have a lot to work out, and I'm going to follow up with the city manager, and maybe we can have some meetings to try to figure out as good partners, how do we work this out?
Okay, I just have one last question. Have you done additional value engineering since the project has started? In other words, or have you had to adjust quality standards as the project has been going on? I mean, what
We've done, we have not made any changes to quality standards, because if we were to propose that, we would go back to the city and district to talk about that. What we have done is, there's, in Turner's agreement, there are about $2 million of what are called allowances, and these are things that aren't quite known yet. For example, we have an allowance for site, for landscape lighting. We have an allowance for the sound wall that goes along the Emeryville Village property line, because it's a very challenging thing to build, and some other things. What we've done is we have sort of a zero overage policy on those items, where we value engineer the specific design of those few elements to stay within the budget, and we involve the city and district in those discussions. For example, next Wednesday we have a meeting about site lighting to make sure we keep within that allowance and don't go over that, or maybe even realize some savings. So there are a few select areas where we're still doing some of that work. We have a meeting 2 weeks after that to talk about site fencing and site gates to see if there's some more savings we can get there. So there are some ongoing efforts. It's not a huge amount. It's, again, about $2 million of the $60 million contract, but it's a small amount we're doing that. In terms of quality, though, we have a fairly strong quality control, quality assurance program to make sure that we are keeping up with quality. We have a waterproofing consultant making sure that we're doing the building's watertight, and that all the detailing is done properly. So, I mean, the quality thing is something that's very important, because you don't, if we're changing scope, we've reviewed that with the city and the district, but we're not doing any kind of quality compromises on the project. To the contrary, making sure that the quality is still there throughout the project.
Okay, thank you. I have no further questions. Anyone else want to ask any? I guess we need to allow the public.
I have one thing.
Any public comment on that?
Go ahead, Don.
Going back to the pool and its cost overrun, maybe clarify and give some clarification for people who've not come up or have been up to speed on the situation with the district acquiescing to or accepting the change order for the improvements for the pool. And could you go in a little bit more detail as far as the actual process we got to that point, as far as having to pay, or the cost, or the change order for that, the changes to the pool?
So just to kind of summarize, we had a very lengthy discussion at the board meeting last week about this. A consultant was hired by the district to scope out the pool and also do the pool design. Just at right about the same time that we finalized the budget, as Dr. Irby spoke to, and where the pool had not been included in the project, was not included in Turner's GMP. I'm not sure why that was. It was not included. There was a line item in the budget of $200,000. I'm not sure where that number came from. The consultant told us that it would be a recommended budget of $700,000. We embarked upon design with her. During the design process, it became apparent there were several things that were highly recommended for this pool that would make it appropriate for the community that were not included in that original budget. One of those was a high quality filtration system that allowed for the pool to be used by all variety of users. It's the kind where the water is the same level as the deck. It makes it easier for seniors and children to use the pool. It keeps the wave action down, so you can have a variety of uses. It makes it for a fundamentally more useful pool. In addition, the pool deck had not been included in the original budget. And as we went through the design process, the pool deck was going to be so cut up that it was going to be something that wouldn't going to last for long because of water infiltration, et cetera. We had to accommodate the future bike path. What do we do there? How do we do that? Do we replace that deck or do we not replace it? So the number of things that kind of that were discussed and came up during that design process. We had some options. We could have not approved. We could have not opted for that filter system. We could have not done the pool deck. Another unknown is that once we got in the design process, it became apparent that there was a lot of asbestos in the pool room, so we had to demo everything out and put new equipment in. That was the kind of one unforeseen thing, but at the end of the day, those are the sorts of things that happened after that budget was set. The resultant impact of the budget was just over $1 million. And so after a lot of discussion last week, the board did approve 4-0 to go ahead and move forward with that pool scope. And that's sort of a summary. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have about that.
No, I will just add too that the district last week decided to add $2 more million to the project from our developer fees. So we knew that we were already having a budget problem, and we knew the pool was going to put us an additional $1.2 million over. So we have additional developer fees, everything we have left, and we put all $2 million in. So we're trying to do whatever we can. So.
Okay, is this, because this is a normal item, does the public ask questions about this?
Yeah, is there any public comment about it?
Any public comment about this presentation? Okay, I would like to substitute the enrollment presentation for a proclamation for Nellie Hannon.
Here, here.
Is that, does anybody have any objection to changing the agenda this way?
No.
Am I going first? Okay. Okay, I'm going to, who has the proclamation? Are you reading the proclamation?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I think we're doing that.
You want to
No,
go
no.
first from the school
For
side?
the school side? Okay, all right. I want to say, we want to say thank you to Ms. Hannon. Ms. Hannon, where are you?
Right here.
Oh, there you are, right in front of me. Yes. Oh, great, wonderful, thank you. So as many of you know, for the past 30 years, Ms. Hannon and the Emeryville Community Assistance Program, ECAP, have been giving everything they've got to the community. 30 years, Ms. Hannon has been giving to the community through ECAP. For the majority of those years, the organization has operated 7 days a week, including holidays, providing food, clothing, toys, backpacks, thank you again for that, to our students and to the citizens, helping over 13,000 individuals or families. ECAP and the Unified School District also recently partnered to ask local businesses for assistance. That took place over the last few weeks. And that effort brought in several hundred more backpacks for students and over $5,000. So it was a really great community partnership with the school district. I haven't been here long, and so I appreciate you, and I haven't known you well. I've got to meet your son. I appreciate him and what he does. And we have a certificate of appreciation we'd like to present to you. I'll just read it quickly. The Emory Unified School District Board of Trustees extends its gratitude and appreciation to Ms. Nellie Hannon for her heartfelt work on behalf of the Emory USD community. Thank you, Ms. Hannon. Don't sit down yet, Ms. Hannon. We're just getting warmed up. We're just getting warmed up. So, Ms. Hannon, I have something here I just want to read to you from Congresswoman Barbara Lee. The Congresswoman really wanted to be here tonight, but she wanted to make sure I read this for her. From the Honorable Barbara Lee, a certificate of special recognition presented to Nellie Hannon in recognition of 30 years of outstanding service to the city of Emeryville and its residents of California's 13th Congressional District. I applaud your work as the founder of Emeryville's Citizen Assistance Program, and thank you for your commitment to the East Bay community. Thank you again, Ms. Hannon.
Sure, what is it? Sure. problem. I've learned that you just get up and go. So, oh, wow, yes. So, and this is from our local Senator, District 9, Lonnie Hancock, State of California. Certificate of Recognition, Nellie Hannon, presented in recognition of her 31 years of outstanding work as the founder and executive director of the Emeryville Citizens Assistance Program, ECAP. Her compassion, leadership, and dedication to supporting needy families and residents are exemplary, and her contributions to the Emeryville community will be felt for many years to come. Lonnie Hancock.
I believe Aisha Brown from Keith Carson's office is here. Do you have a resolution to read? Okay, well, come up to the mic here. Find a mic.
Good evening. My name is Brandon Baranco, and I'm a field representative for Assemblymember Tony Thurman. Ms. Hannon, it is truly an honor to present the Certificate of Recognition for your over 30 years of service to the citizens of Emeryville, from your term on the City Council to being the Executive Director of the Emeryville Citizen Action Program. Your accomplishments are countless, and you set an example for all of us. Your Assemblymember Tony Thurman.
It's a hard act to follow. He's pretty popular, Ms. Hannon. So I'm here today representing the full county of Alameda. On behalf of the full Board of Supervisors, we would just like to say thank you and congratulations for all your hard work and service. And so it reads, the commendation reads, whereas the Alameda County Board of Supervisors recognizes Ms. Nellie Hannon for her pioneering leadership throughout the East Bay community, and I'm just going to skip down. Therefore, the Board of Supervisors of County of Alameda, State of California, does hereby commend and give full recognition to Ms. Nellie Hannon for her exemplary record of professional, civic leadership, and community service, and we wish you continued success well into the future. Thank you so much.
Nellie, lastly, I have a resolution here from the City Council to thank you for your service. But before I read it, I want to go off script a little bit just to say that the work and the leadership that you've provided through ECAP over really generations is something that can't be easily replicated or fully appreciated, because you've been there through thick or thin. I forget exactly what the motto of the U.S. Postal Service was, neither, through rain, storms, hail, whatever, you were there, and you were serving, and the fact is that you serve people in need each and every day, and you've been through a lot, and you've done it with grace and patience and determination and perseverance. And so I just want to say the City of Emeryville owes you a great debt of gratitude for how much you've given of your heart, your soul, your caring, and that it's a testament to see how many people have come here today to honor you. We're here to give you these formal resolutions, but you've touched so many people, and they wanted to come here to honor you today. So I just want to say words can't fully express how much you've meant to this community over the years. But with that, I will read the city's resolution. This is a resolution of the City Council of the City of Emeryville in recognition of Nellie Hannon's over 30 years of service as the founder and executive director of the Emeryville Citizens Action Program. Whereas Nellie Hannon founded the all-volunteer Emeryville Citizens Action Program And by the way, it's gone through various subtle name changes over the years. To provide nutritious food and household goods to members of the community in need. And whereas Ms. Hannon has served as the executive director for ECAP on a strictly volunteer basis for more than 30 years, and whereas Ms. Hannon has a long history of involvement in the Emeryville community, including serving on the Emeryville City Council from 1983 to 1987. Hope you didn't think we were going to leave that out. And whereas under her leadership, ECAP has provided food, clothing, and other necessities to over 40,000 people in need every year, and whereas under Ms. Hannon's leadership, ECAP collected and distributed more than $1 million of food every year, and whereas Nellie Hannon has contributed immeasurably to the stabilization and betterment of countless Emeryville residents and families, and whereas after 30 years, Ms. Hannon will be transitioning ECAP's leadership to a new generation, now therefore be it resolved that the City Council of the City of Emeryville thanks Nellie Hannon for all of her work in advancing the quality of life in Emeryville and wish her success in her future endeavors. And this resolution was adopted by the whole City Council this past Tuesday, September 1st. So again, thank you.
If anyone would like to give some comment or testimonials about Nellie and her service, would you please step up to the mic and say something?
Nellie? I know she's like, what? I'm Juliet Dunn. I'm the Wellness Director for Emory Unified School District, and I had the pleasure of working with Ms. Hannon and all of her team, and it is truly a team. When we gave away all of the food one year, I think it was 2 years ago, and it was at the high school before it was torn down, and we were in the parking lot. And I had not worked as hard in my life, and I thought she does this every single day. And the three things that kind of touched my heart was she feeds people, she clothes people, she gives them hope every day. We do that once in a while when we go to our little church events. We do that once in a while when we do that with our families. She does this every single day. And for that, God bless you. God keep you.
I thank Miss Hannah for finding me a home when I was homeless. She helped me out as long as I've been there, and I love her to death. I'd do anything for her. God bless Miss Hannah.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Miguel Duane, and I am a former elected official in Emeryville on the school board.
Speak up.
Oh, okay. And and while being on the school board, I had the pleasure of meeting Nellie, and for somehow and some reason she recruited me on her board of directors after I came off the board of the school board, and it has been a wonderful pleasure and probably one of the best things I've ever done in my life to be involved with Miss Nellie and her mission of feeding others and clothing others. So I just want to let you know that I really appreciate you asking me to be a part of all of this. And I love it, and I love you, and many more wishes, and I know you're not through yet. So thank you for everything that you've done for the community of Emeryville, and thank you for allowing me to be a part of your family.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. I have been in California for about 13 years, and when I first came, I moved right off of Fremont and 55th, I think it is. And I just started working with Ms. Hannon and the ECAB about 2 years ago, and I'm saying to myself, this has been here all this time, and I've never just, I mean, I've gone by it, but I've never really got involved. And then I said, you know what, let me go by here, and please use me, work me like a horse. And not like a dog, but like a horse, because I feel like I missed so many years. I'm just glad to be part of this for your celebration. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Mary Jeffrey, and I met Miss Hannah about 3 years ago, actually about 4 years ago. When I first started going to ECAP, I started going down, I own a business on San Pablo, and people used to come into our shop and tell us about this angel in the neighborhood. And I'm in Oakland, and they tell us about this angel. And I started feeding people in the park twice a month, and this one customer of mine took me down to meet Miss Hannah. Well, actually, he took me down to ECAP, and I got in line, and I go through and get food to kind of supplement what I was doing in the park. And so this one guy says, well, I know Miss Hannah, and she'll help you with this food because I was buying everything. So I went down, and he introduced me to Miss Hannah. And you notice I call her Hannah because that's what, you know, people in the neighborhood call her Hannah, Miss Nellie, and never had I ever heard Miss Hannah. And so she started helping me with supplying food for me to feed. And so that's when I found out her name was Hannah. I just didn't know. They call her Mother. She's got a lot of affectionate names. And so that's when I realized that she truly was an angel. And I had, my grandson was 4 years old at the time, and I took him down there. He was about 5, and he heard me and everybody in my shop talking about Miss Hannah all the time being this angel. So I took him to ECAP with me. And I had told him, okay, we're going to meet Miss Hannah. And he had heard us calling her an angel. So I introduced him to her, and he looked at me and he says, where are her wings? So, and I had to explain to him what a true angel really looks like. And so to him, Miss Hannah is his angel. And she truly is. You have to be on the San Pablo corridor. And I know she impacts the lives of many, many people way beyond the San Pablo corridor. But you have to be on that corridor to really learn and know how much loved Miss Hannah is. And if the word had been out about this presentation tonight, this room would have been packed. Because everybody would have been here. Lots of people would have been here. So I really, truly love Miss Hannah. She has been my angel and the angel of many, many people. And I don't think that she truly knows what impact she has made in Oakland. And I say Oakland because, like I said, I'm from Oakland. So she gives not only to Emeryville the impact that you guys have made by supplying Miss Hannah has not only impacted Emeryville, it's impacted Oakland tremendously. And I really, truly, appreciate the support that you all have given ECAP because of that. So thank you so much.
Nellie, is there anything you want to say? You don't have to. I don't mean to put you on the spot.
can't find words to say. You know, I'm just overwhelmed right now. But thank you so much. I've done a job because God gave it to me to do. And I certainly appreciate all of you, all of the people that have helped me down through the years. And I just really appreciate it. So thank you so much.
Don't go with you. Just stand here with me for a minute. I come over to give my sister a hug because she means so much to me. She means so much to so many people. It's words are hard to find, but because of this woman, because of this lady, and because of the strength behind her, it has inspired so many of ECAP volunteers to stick with her and, as the word goes, work their behinds off every day so that people who need to eat have something to eat. And because of who she is, I've dedicated my life in retirement to helping her. And as we move forward, and Nellie just had a birthday. She's older than I am. I'll leave it at that. I'll just leave it at that. But because of the energy that she still has, and because of the support of so many people, and most of all because of the support of the government in Emeryville helping her and helping this process, she's still able to provide. But the good thing about it is there is no respect of person. She helps everybody. As Mary just said, Oakland owes us a hand of gratitude for the things that this woman has done for the folks in North Oakland. I look at it all the time and I say, Emeryville is good because Emeryville has stepped up and has provided her with a place to do this work. But now, Mary, you got work to do. You got to get them people down there in Oakland to do their part. I can talk forever. I'm going to shut up, but I just had to come up here because I love my sister and the work that she's doing. Okay.
I want to thank everybody for coming tonight. It's really quite a marker to notice the change in leadership at ECAP, and just, again, it's like you embody ECAP so much. And I just asked her when I gave her the city's resolution if she was going to rest, and she said no. So I don't know what lays in store for you personally, but I hope you'll carry our tributes with you as you continue to move forward. So again, thank you everybody for coming tonight.
And you don't have to stay, but if you do, I'm going to be fast. I've got some great news about our schools, so tell your friends and tell your families. May I proceed? So I just want to say that I'm going to lay this out here for everybody. Our key indicators for Emory Unified School District are kindergarten, 6th grade, and 9th grade, because those are the years when parents start looking around and going, well, maybe I want to change schools, right? Kindergarten has always gone up and down, up and down, up and down. For years, our high school numbers have been going down, 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 down. 6th grade, for the last couple of years, has gone, in fact, it took a big dive about a year ago. All of our key indicators go in the opposite direction now. Kindergarten, 6th grade, and the 9th grade. Even though just a few students in the high school, it's still suddenly, for the first time in years, it's going the other way. 6th grade has jumped up. Last year we were at 35, we got 53. And the kindergarten, transitional K, is the highest in over 10 years, We don't even know the last time we've ever been this high because it goes back before my data, back before 2006. I don't have data before 2006 right now in front of me. We are up to, had about 60 last year. We're at 83 kindergartners in transitional K, and 70% of them are Emeryville residents. So you live in Oakland, you live in Emeryville, come on down because we're improving our schools, and I'm ecstatic to share this information with you.
That is very good news.
What's the total enrollment this year?
So far, and again, our kids just started this last Monday, so these aren't hard numbers. We're at about 525-ish at Andy Yates, and we believe we're at about 175 to 180 at the high school.
Okay. Thank you.
Well, I hope you were able to get enough teachers.
We actually had to add some teachers. We had to add a kindergarten teacher. And it was hard. Yeah. There's a big teacher shortage.
Okay.
Well, that seems to conclude our evening, I would suggest, right? So I think we have a big party following.
Yeah, is there food? Is there food
I
outside?
smell food.
I hear there's some food. Thank you, sir, in the back. And Miss Tamery, can you? I know I just met you and I forgot. Is Mr. Johnson?
I guess a couple.
Mr. Johnson, thank you so much for bringing food, and thank you to Pixar, I think, for helping as well. Okay. Did we miss something? We're good.
Okay, this meeting is adjourned to the food.
Have some food, everybody. Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Oh, that's really good news. Oh, my God. Yeah. In fact, we had to add a teacher. I haven't seen numbers like this in 10 years. Crazy.